Australian scientists believe they've discovered what happens in the brains of people with a common sleep disorder. Up to a third of women and half of men over 50 have sleep apnea, but many people go undiagnosed. Here's Dr. Angela Di Rosario from the Woolcock Institute. Hi, Angela. What is sleep apnea?
Sleep apnea is a very common sleep breathing disorder. As you said, it affects many middle-aged men and women. Really, what happens is that during the night, the airway closes or partially closes, and that means that you have to wake up from your sleep in order to take a breath. And also, there are dips in your oxygen levels when your airway closes.
And how often are people waking up during the night because of this?
Well, if you have severe sleep apnea, you can wake up at least 30 times an hour and often more. So your sleep is very fragmented and you really don't get that refreshing sleep that we all need.
30 times an hour, wow. So how does that affect people's lives? Their sleep is clearly disrupted. What about their day-to-day activities?
Well, you can imagine if you woke that many times in the night, you'd be pretty tired the next day. There's a certain amount of brain fog. Your alertness is affected. There are consequences on how well you can perform. Also, in terms of driving on the road, it's a problem, and people with untreated sleep apnea have increased risk of having car accidents.
So looking at your research then, what's happening in the brain of someone with sleep apnea when they're actually awake?
Well, we're conducting a research study really to examine this idea that sleep and wake can coexist. So we often think that they're separate states, but new technology that's allowed us to really look at the brain in much more detail has shown us that sleep can intrude into the waking brain. And these events are different than the micro-sleeps that we often think about when we're sleepy in the daytime, where your eyes are closed and you're obviously falling asleep. These events are much more discrete than that, where very tightly grouped populations of brain cells are actually going offline, and the brainwave patterns resemble sleep, but behaviorally you're awake, so your eyes are open and you're attending to the tasks. And importantly, these events of sleep intruding into the waking brain are related to errors on performance tasks. So we think that this may explain why some people with sleep apnea have impaired driving.
Okay, is there a treatment for it?
Well, the treatment, we're actually studying people that are using CPAP, which is the gold standard treatment for sleep apnea. We're going to withdraw that treatment to see what's happening in the brain. So absolutely, there are treatments for sleep apnea, and we're using that as part of this trial to really try and understand how sleep apnea impacts the brain.
Dr. Angela Di Rosario, thank you.
Thank you.